It is inevitable when a new gacha game or a game to do with stat-based characters comes out, tier lists and guides that tell you what is the strongest appear. I believe in taking pride in characters not for being the strongest, but for having quirks and design choices that appeal to you. That being said, until I can promote my lizard wizard to a 5-star operator with his own skills and power, he is just going to have to remain my team's DPS, only in my dreams. Now, there is a very useful resource that I have found floating around that gives us the baseline for figuring out how to correctly min-max our characters without telling us who is the strongest, which I appreciate a lot. However, it is vital to take what you see with a grain of salt and fill in the evidence that is not provided here for ourselves. To figure out the equation for ourselves, we're going to be using these little buddies here as our controlled variable, and this emotional basket case is our independent variable. While we're getting into that, however, I need to talk about the hell I went through after finding out all my calculations broke past the first one. So I do the first test, here's our numbers, then I level up Jessica, and then we calculate the expected damage of her skills before being affected by armor. Look, here's some nice numbers, and when we subtract the first test from the second test, we get 18 across the board. And if we use the difference between the expected damage and the actual damage done, we can extrapolate the armor values of the mobs. And with that, it should have been smooth sailing from that point forward. However, after testing, and the numbers being wildly incorrect, I was at a loss. Where did I go wrong? In a confused panic, I start testing out other operators who pull up a number upon using their skills. Starting with Savage, who gave me a nice round 60 for the armor of the Originum Slug. And I'm like, oh, maybe guards have a hidden base armor pen to make them stronger. However, when I pulled out Silver Daddy, who only pulled 13 for armor, and then after testing more lower levels that only pulled armor numbers between 10 and 30, I was severely confused. So I had a new hypothesis. What if enemies' base value of armor scales with the level, so you can't just overlevel and wipe stages? Don't worry, I figured this out eventually. And to test this out, I hopped on my Japanese account and painstakingly leveled Savage up in increments of 5 until she matched my English Savage at Elite 1 level 35, skill level 3. However, as you can see from this rubbish graph, the expected numbers and the actual damage to the Originum Slug were exactly the same, even to the end. So now I have to look at where I went wrong with my English Savage. I somehow mistook her defense bonus for an attack bonus. Somehow. However, this made me go back and redo Jessica's number because even though the defense was wrong, it still gave me an idea of going back and checking Jessica's. At this time, when I did Jessica's, I went back and assumed that her trust attack bonus has been calculated into her stats. And would you look at that? Her damage is exactly the same as the damage done to the Originum Slug. Who would have guessed? And now, let's compare Siege's damage to my Siege's damage over on this very convenient website. Yeah. I swear I checked the numbers like this at the start of the test and the numbers showed up wrong. Wait. Hold on. I swear I already checked this. It came out wrong. How does it not come out right? I don't get it. So, there we have it. Reasonable proof that this is correct. Now we can safely move on to testing whether buffs stack multiplicatively or additively. For this, we will take my girl Siege and calculate the expected damage of her second skill using only the attack stat, and then a second one, this time including what it should do with her own innate buff, and the damage buff from this ever so generously donated Zima. Both additively and multiplicatively. Now that we have those numbers, let's quickly check which ones are right. Now, before I close up, I would like to take a look at the comment below the physical damage equation part, which states, when you have defense debuffs on the enemy, so much that its defense becomes negative, you can indeed increase your attack even more that way. Which, before I had a way to test, I theorized a perfect world where Big Adam takes more damage than an Originum Snail by a large margin. And Meteorite's HE shell provides a flat 1,650 damage per overloaded shot. However, after briefly liberating a friend's meteorite to test the arm shred, we can see that Jessica's shot does not go over its maximum expected damage, which either means more likely that you cannot reduce an enemy's armor below 0 to increase damage, or percent armor reduction from multiple operators may have a different interaction. However, until I Elite 1 and max out skills of 3 operators, one of which I don't even own yet, I won't be able to confirm this for myself. And so, in conclusion, or what we can take away from this, is that the damage equation written here is correct. However, you cannot reduce an enemy's defense past 0. Damage buffs are combined additively before being multiplied by the base damage. Hitting harder is better than hitting faster. And the fact that Op Team A4, a team with the most combat experience of all operators, especially reserves, are only 2 stars, and therefore the weakest is unforgivable. Where is my promotion option? Yato didn't lay waste to hundreds of infected just to collect